We finish NFL Wildcard weekend with the Vikings and Rams. Let's talk a little football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we're back to finish off the weekend. What a wild few days in the NFL playoffs. It was a below average week for us. We lost a little bit, not a ton, but it just didn't go the way I planned. But again, we'll go over the bets recap in a little bit, like we do every single weekend. Quick reminder: the NBA best bets video for Monday will be out after this one, so be sure to check it out. But let's get into it. And that means we got to talk Outlier. If you guys are not using Outlier, you're missing out. I'm telling you, it's the best betting research smart tool on the market today. If you guys want to try it out, it's a 7-day free trial. Any graphics you see in this video or in future videos are because of Outlier. But that link below in that description, go check it out. You got nothing to lose, and go get some winners. So anyways, let's get into it. That means it's dad joke time. That's right. Here we go. I bought some shoes from a drug dealer. Not sure what they were laced with, but I've been tripping all day. Not bad. In the video, we're going to recap the weekend of wild card round. It was, like I said, up and down, that's for sure. But then we're going to preview and give our best bets for the Vikings and Rams game. I got two best bets for you, and we'll finish it with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Come join this incredible community that we have here. And by the way, thanks to everyone for supporting over on the Kyle Kerms channel. I went live on their NFL video on Saturday morning and Sunday morning as well. And if you're not a subscriber to Kyle Kerms, go check it out. Those guys know what they're talking about, and it's a lot of fun. Good dudes over there. But I'm ready to get into it, and that means it's recap time. All right, here is the recap from the weekend. As you can see over there on the bottom right, playoff record so far, which is just this weekend, obviously, 4-6. We went down 1.54 units, not ideal. And then if you just joined the channel, over there on the bottom left is the regular season record, 153, 142, up 11.05 units. And during the season, we broke down exactly how we got there, which was all thanks to the player props. But let's break down this weekend real quick. Chargers minus 2.5 was a terrible, terrible read by me. The Texans dominated. Justin Herbert absolutely sucked. I mean, he has just been bad in his couple playoff games. It just wasn't pretty. That's all I'm going to say about it. Congrats to Houston. They played well defensively, and they are moving on. The Bills minus 7.5 was a good read. That was an incredible, easy win for them. They went down 7-0, and they just absolutely dominated from there. Under 46, Green Bay Philly, another good read we had. That game never really had a chance to even get to 46. It was a running game, and just not a ton of explosive plays in the passing game and all that. So either way, Philly moves on. Nice win by them. And then the Bucks team total over 26.5. I'm done betting their team total this year, I'll tell you that, because they're not playing anymore. But I've lost 2 in a row. They ended with 20 points. They had some chances, but let's be honest, some of these games, when you just look at box score, if that's all you're basing your bet off of and other people's bets, you're missing out, because there's some halves where you got to look at, like the Bucks, I think, had 3 possessions in the first half or something. There's just some really, really long drives. I know Buffalo did that too for Denver. So if you had Denver overs, it was just excruciating to watch, because Buffalo just took for absolute ever on some of their drives, and the quarter just kept winding down. But either way, 2-2 on the game bets, and then we go to player props. Usually our bread and butter. We went 2-2 here. Lamar Jackson over 1.5 touchdowns. He gets the job done yet again for a unit. Nico Collins under 6.5 receptions. Who got a lot of hate for this one, I'll tell you that one. But he got one pointless short catch on a 3rd and long, and that was his 7th catch and his final catch, and we lost on the hook. That's how close it was. And oh, by the way, he had 4 catches on 1 drive. If CJ Stroud doesn't have that broken play, 3rd and long, 1st down to continue the drive, we easily win this one. It is what it is. He had 7 catches, but again, 1 drive had 4 catches. So I still like the read. He didn't do much really the entire game when it comes to receptions other than that 1 drive. And then Bucky Irving got the job done. I posted that play on X. I was pretty excited about that. It was a 19-yard toss play to the sideline. It was just pretty beautiful. It was. But Marvin Mims was not beautiful. It was ugly. It was bad because, well, he was a Bronco, and the Broncos just didn't do a lot. Marvin Mims didn't do a ton either. They used him on some short passes, and they just didn't get him downfield. But overall, the Broncos' offense was terrible. I mean, they scored 7 points in the first drive and never did anything again. So a lot of overs were kind of in trouble there. But either way, Mims breaks that hot streak he was on. And then speaking of Mims, anytime touchdowns, again, those anytime TDs are a quarter unit for me. I just sprinkle on them. Mims touchdown plus 270, didn't get it done. And then Mark Andrews touchdown plus 155. He also did not get the job done. I was hoping he did. He had some chances, but he did not. So either way, there is the full recap. 4-6, down 1.54 units. We'll have hopefully a good Monday and get to around break even, and then we'll move on to the divisional round. But that's all I got for the bets recap. And now let's talk the Vikings and Rams. All right, we are heading out to Arizona where the LA Rams are playing the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings minus 2.5. Total in this one is 47.5. Before we get to those best bets, let's just talk about this one. Just an insane trend I just found. I wish I found it before the weekend. But the outright winner in wildcard playoff games is also a ridiculous 63 and 10 and 1 against the spread. That is 86.3%. That is going into this weekend. So I didn't do all the math for that. But what that means is if you think a team's just going to win, you take them on the spread if they're the favorite, or you just take them on the money line if they're the underdog. That's just how it goes. 86% is pretty crazy. Another trend of the last 43 wildcard games, with a total of 44 or higher, the under is 27 and 15 and 1, 64.3%. Bills was another one of those today as well. But the game moved to Arizona, as you guys know. That's why I said it earlier. But it's just awful, awful fires in LA. Prayers to everybody dealing with that and all the people impacted and all that. But now we're going to Arizona to play this one. So let's break this down. Some injuries, both teams coming in pretty healthy, which is, always good to see when you're about to watch a playoff game. Vikings running back Cam Akers is questionable. I think it was an illness or something, but not a huge deal there. Some ATS numbers. Since it's not a home or away game for anybody, we're just going to talk overall. Vikings 11 and 5 ATS this season, the third best in the NFL. Rams 9 and 8 ATS this season. And then the over/under, Vikings 10 and 7 to the under this year. Rams 9 and 8 to the under. Big deal here is the playoff experience. As you guys know, McVay and Stafford have coached or either coached or played at least 8 playoff games. Kevin O'Connell, the head coach for the Vikings, 0-1 in the playoffs. Sam Darnold has never taken a snap in the playoffs. So big time newbies versus the veterans, that's for sure. But it's a big time advantage for the Rams there. So I'm going to have 2 bets. I'm going to go half unit each because I don't want to go too crazy in this one standalone game here this weekend. So this first one, it's a player prop. Give me TJ Hawkinson over 44.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on DraftKings for a half unit. So Hawkinson's over this line in 5 of 10 games, but the volume has been there. So I think this is a great buy low spot for him. Last week, if you look at his numbers, he had 9 receiving yards, and you think, why would we ever take over 44.5 when he just had 9? He was still a big part of the offense, and the reason, if you watch the game versus the Lions, Darnold was absolutely horrendous throwing the ball to anyone. He missed him on a couple easy plays. Hawkinson still had 8 targets. So the ones you worry about is when a guy has 2, 3 targets. He's just not being involved. He still had 8 targets. He is still one of his go-to guys. But this season, Hawkinson averaging 49.5 yards per game. He has 5+ targets in 7 straight games, 45+ yards in 4 of those 7 games. He even has a 114-yard game earlier this year, 52 and 68 yards in 2 of the last 4. So you can see it's there. And he's averaging 10.8 yards per reception. And here's the deal. He's getting big air yards. So in the last 10 weeks, and I say 10 weeks because those are the only weeks he's actually played because he started out hurt, he has the 3rd most air yards of any tight end in the NFL. The only ones higher than him, Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers. Pretty elite tight ends. He has the 5th most targets in that span with 62, and he has a decent 8.3 ADOT, which is a couple yards even more than Bowers and Kelce. If you don't know what ADOT is, that's average depth of target. Now, let's talk this matchup. It is a beautiful one. The Rams have given up the 4th most yards to tight ends, giving up 64.7 yards per game to the tight end position, and they've also given up the 3rd most receptions. In fact, 11 tight ends this year have topped 40 yards versus the Rams. That is quite a bit. The linebackers and safeties have just struggled defending the middle of the field, struggling defending the tight ends as well, obviously. And this is a great buy low spot. If he had a great game against Detroit last week, we'd probably see this line in the 50s somewhere. So I like that he did have a bad game because now we can get this lower line. So give me TJ Hawkinson over 44.5 receiving yards. That's my first best bet. Let's just pray that Sam Darnold can actually throw him the ball. But the second one, we're going to go 6-point teaser. The Rams plus 8.5 and the over 41.5 minus 120 for a half unit. So this is on DraftKings, but if you don't know what a teaser is, you take 2 lines, you take it 6 points in your favor. So Rams plus 2.5, taking it through all the key numbers of 3, 4, 6, and 7, taking it all the way to plus 8.5. And then the over, taking it down from 47.5 to the 41.5 and taking the over. So let's talk Rams plus 8.5 first. They have, like I just mentioned, they have the much more experienced head coach, much more experienced quarterback here, which I think is a big deal in the playoffs, obviously, because the playoffs are just a different animal, that's for sure. I think the Rams have a chance to win this game outright. So plus 8.5 to me is just a ton of points. In the earlier matchup, they did play 30-20. The Rams won in October, one of only 3 Vikings losses. The Rams held the Vikings to 276 yards. Stafford had 4 touchdown passes in that game. Nakua and Kupp killed them for 12 catches for 157 yards total, mostly by Nakua, who had over 100. And then Kyron ran it 23 times for 97 yards. So Here's the deal with the Vikings. They're still a really good team, but they're not as one side dominant anymore. They used to dominate the run game on offense and on defense. It just has not been the case as much lately. Last week versus the Lions, they gave up 178 rush yards outside of a 58-yard run by Cam Akers on their own. Akers and Jones only had 15 carries for 52 yards. 2 weeks ago versus Green Bay, Jones and Akers, 18 combined carries for 65 yards. 3 weeks ago, Aaron Jones only averaged 3.7 yards per attempt versus a bad Seahawks run defense. And then some injuries have just really hurt them. You can see they're a little bit more leaky against the run because they were absolutely elite for the first half, first 2/3 of this season. And I'm not saying they're a bad run defense, but they're just not quite as elite as they have been lately. And then Kyron Williams for the Rams, absolute workhorse, 4.3, 5.3 yards per attempt. I think he's going to get it going a little bit on the ground. The Rams offense, we're going to see it. It's just all going to be the Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams show. And I don't know if the Vikings can slow down Puka. I actually thought about Puka 100 plus receiving yards because he dominated them last game, and I don't see anybody slowing them down. The Vikings have given up the most receptions and second most receiving yards to wide receivers. That's a problem when you're facing Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So he could have a big day. And then let's just be honest with ourselves. Do we really think Darnold can dominate this Rams, and Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay team and win by multiple scores? Because I sure don't. Give me the Rams plus 8.5 to just keep it within 8. That's all I need. Second leg, over 41.5. As we talked about, they went 30-20 in the first meeting. I'm not saying they're going to score 50, but this is a great environment to do it. We're in Arizona inside, which was going to be inside anyways, but we're going to see some points here in this one. Stafford versus this Vikings defense. So Stafford's been great versus the blitz in his career. And guess what? The Vikings blitz at the highest rate this season, 38.9%. The closest is the Lions at 34.6%. You saw it in the earlier matchup. Stafford, 25 for 34 for 279 and 4 touchdowns. I think Darnold could struggle a little bit here because, again, it's a big game. We saw what he did against Detroit in a big game. He absolutely folded. I expect him to have a little bit better of a game, obviously, but they should be able to hit a couple big plays as well. Justin Jefferson had over 100 yards earlier in that game versus the Rams, and Addison's been more of a factor than he was in that last game. So, the key here is going to be the running game. Can they get it going enough to take some pressure off of Sam Darnold? But there's just too many big time weapons. Like I said, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Kyron Williams, Puka, Cooper Kupp. There's going to be some points here, especially indoors. I just need 42. I think this actually goes over the 47.5. I think we see some points up and down the field. But again, I just need 42, and I just need the Rams to stay within 8. So it's a 6-point teaser. But again, I think the Rams got a chance to win the game. Rams money line, I don't mind. And I also don't mind just the over 47.5 on its own if you're looking to play one of those as well. But that's what I got. Those are my 2 best bets for this Monday night game. And now, before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. The 2 best bets for the Rams and Vikings. TJ Hawkinson over 44.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on DraftKings for a half unit. And a 6-point teaser. Rams plus 8.5 over 41.5, minus 120 for another half unit. That's what I got. Let's end with some winners and get back to about break even for the wild card weekend and then move on to that divisional round. If you haven't already, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And then again, that NBA best bets video, we have been on an absolute roll. That video will be out after this one as well. So thanks again. I appreciate all the support you guys give me every single day. I hope you all have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.